Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 6th through 8th grade Chorus Professional Learning Community on the Georgia Department of Education platform. This platform was created for educators to collect, collaborate, and support one another. Be sure to set up your notifications to your liking and check back to engage in discussion as often as you wish. Please share this platform with your colleagues so we continue to grow and share beneficial information specific to middle and high school choral education. The more colleagues active yields more opportunity for us to share and grow from one another. I am Brandy Dent, and I am your virtual PLC lead for middle and high school chorus. Today's webinar topic will be over the end of year activities, all created to perform, create, connect, and of course, respond to music. Now, every single time I plan any particular lesson, I always refer back to our Georgia Standards of Excellence. You'll find these Georgia Standards of Excellence on the Georgia Department of Education website. I'm just going to show you exactly where it's located. When you go to this page, which is georgiastandards.org, you're going to go straight to the Fine Arts page, and then you'll see those standards of excellence in music on the very first link at the top. From here, you'll be able to navigate through all of the standards that are included in the Georgia Department Fine Arts. We have elementary, middle, and high school, and that's for all categories. Of course, we're looking specifically at the choral categories on today. All right, so one of the very first things that I look at is the standards of excellence at the end of the year is performing, because we always put on a spring show. So I'm just going to go over these standards of excellence, which is conveying meaning through presentation of musical works. A lists as demonstrate technical accuracy and expressive qualities in performance of a varied repertoire of music representing a diversity of cultures and styles. Demonstrate and respond to conducting patterns and gestures representing tempo, expression, and vocal technique. Sing selected music from memory for public performance at least twice per year. And exhibit appropriate rehearsal and performance etiquette. Now, the way to do this is to take your students places to perform. To be a singer who truly inspires, we must throw our ego out the door and show up and serve. That's when we truly change the world. So take your students many places, let them serve. For parents, we do a spring show fundraiser. We charge at the door for people to view our performances. Parents pay to see their students perform in football games or any sports activities or any theatrical activities. So why not let them pay to see their students perform? We would do usually a two-night show or a one-night show with two separate performances. So keep this in mind for your future for next year, or if you have time to plan any end of the year activities, go for it. Additionally, serving the community, we will go to a nursing home to show our wonderful skills to those residents. We also would either invite our feeder schools to our gym or our cafeteria, or we will travel to their gym or cafeteria and put on our performance. It's usually easier to do it in-house during the school day and let those students come over, but either way is possible. And this also could be another fundraiser to charge your feeder schools to come over to see you perform. You can also do your performance right there at school. There are many students in your building that don't have the luxury of staying after school. So you could charge $1 or $2 for the teachers to let them come at the end of the day, or if there's a special time frame where there's a little downtime during the school day, put on the performance. It could even be during lunch. Tour the city. If there are any locations where you can find for your students to still put on their performance, have a performance somewhere else, a local church, local auditorium. Be creative in this performance venues. And of course, have a clinic where your students perform, but there's a professor available that could maybe help your students get even better with their performances. So I'm going to show you a couple of ideas into play with photographs and videos. So here is our spring show. This is us gathering and having a little meeting after our first performance, getting ready for our second performance. Of course, this was before COVID-19 protocols were put into place. So, yes, we are in a big, large crowd. The other thing is to go to a university or college. This is a picture we took right before we went to perform at Mercer University, which is right down the school from us. Now I'm going to show you a trailer, what we made to promote our upcoming spring show. It will be really short and simple. And that video was just a little trailer that we released the week right before our show to get the community hyped up to want to attend. Another video that I'll show you is a video of our students at a local college or university performing and getting a little bit of feedback from a local professor, Clell Wright at Valdosta State University. And of course, these students are performing Georgia on My Mind by Ken Berg. You can see the full video. I'll give you the links to our course Facebook and Instagram and YouTube pages right at the end of this. Now, another activity that I do is a songwriting project during the day. This is all under the portion of creating in the Georgia Standards of Performance, the Georgia Performance Standards of Excellence. Creating, generate, and conceptualize music ideas and works, to improvise rhythmic patterns in duple and triple meter and melodic patterns in major and minor tonality, create basic rhythm and melodic accompaniments to support other elements of musical performance like the bass lines and ostinato, arrange and perform existing songs by making creative decisions regarding tempo and dynamics and explain those creative decisions, set short poetic phrases and text to music, organize, develop, and revise musical ideas and works, shared, improvise, composed, and or arranged pieces, refine, improvise, or composed pieces using teacher or student creative activities criteria. Teach the basic process and watch them have a blast. What I usually do is, of course, introduce those four chord progressions to my students. For sixth grade, usually they learn the key of C and F. By seventh grade, they've learned how to do these four chord progressions in the key of G and D. And then by eighth grade, we'll review those four chords and we'll try to add on other simple key signatures that don't have many flats or sharps. And it just depends on where we are. The eighth graders this year went back and reviewed the key of F, and I'll show you that in a second. So practice writing melodies. One activity that we do at the beginning of the year is to just basically have the students create their own melodies where they are able to perform and test each other on the ability to write. This is literally in the key of C. I showed the students the basic notes of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or the ABC song, and then they're given the parameters such as writing a four measure melody. Does not have to have words. Jot down ideas on their own separate sheet of paper first, or they can use this to continue to write the melodies, but they are to put an asterisk next to their final one that I'm to grade. Each measure should have four beats in each measure. Should begin on middle C and end on middle C. They should use whole, half notes, quarter notes, and eighth notes and their wrists, and label each note name. That's to make sure that they understand note names, and practice and prepare to perform. Sometimes they work in groups, just depends on the grade level, or sometimes I make them work separately to see what they understand individually. This is just practice so that they're able to create their own melodies that are even more precise and detailed later on in their time in your class. Another thing is to review the components of what's in a song. I got this straight off of a website, academia.edu, and it basically gave me the elements of what's in a song, from its definition to its social functions, the general structure, including the intro, the verse, chorus and refrain, the break, the bridge, the outro, or the coda. And what we'll do is, after we've reviewed these components, we'll listen to multiple songs and I'll have the students label those components in the songs they know. Some of them will be familiar and recent songs, and every now and then I'll throw them a brand new song that maybe they've never heard. Then we'll try to write a song as a class. These are my parameters that I set where we write it together. We first come up with a theme or a subject for the song, and then we start thinking about everything we know about that particular subject, creating a word list, making sure we come up with some rhyming words. We even act out a few of the words if there's something that could help us with, making our song come alive. Then we start adding lyrics, start coming up with the verses and chorus and getting all of that together. And then, of course, we create music. If it's not a song that already exists, we'll use our own. If the kids have played around with the key of C or D or F or G, and they can come up with a really cool chord progression or melody, we'll go with it. Sometimes we take a break away from the music for a few days. I see my students every other day, so we automatically get a break from it anyway. But we might work on it just on a Tuesday or just on a Thursday. And of course, at some point, we add a chorus. We might do the chorus first, or we might add the chorus after we see how the verse is flowing. And of course, we make a recording of the song. This year, my students were looking at the key of F a lot. So they took the four chord progression of Price Tag by Jessie J, and they wrote Warrior Pride, which is our school mascot. The student that was sitting at the keyboard is an eighth grader who just learned how to play these four chords through this songwriting process. And you'll see the eighth grade girls, a lot of my boys have been on quarantine the last couple of weeks, so you'll see a few of them in the back. And here's Warrior Pride. So what they're basically saying is, don't be afraid to show your warrior pride. Let me see your orange, black, and white. And it was just a really cool way to end the year with a school song, just something to get them hyped. Of course, always when writing anything or when the student's turning anything, provide them with a rubric. My rubric was very simple for the students. As long as they had an idea topic, they got 10 points. I did have them turn in their brainstorming pages so that I could see exactly what was their process for writing. That's 20 points. Make sure they have the parts of the song, the chorus, verse, bridge, lyrics, and melody. Writing the chorus, 10 points for that, which is their main idea. Writing the verses, 10 points. The bridge was optional. And of course, the students also have to turn it in as a group project by performing it. And that was 50 points. These little pages that you see is like a studio and studio time sign up where the students have the option of performing it live or going into a little sound booth that we created where they can record it and we'll play it for the class. I'll show you a video in just a second as to how one of those turns out for my students. Of course, when my students do a songwriting, I do provide a template for them, record them and or post them. And the template that you see is right here. It's kind of blurry, but you'll be able to see that there's a spot for a topic, there's a spot for or song title, and for the students to put their names. This is just a spot for their verse, their chorus, their verse again, and their bridge, which was optional. That way they can perform it appropriately. You'll see that this picture has the students, they're holding the actual music themselves. And I'll just show you how it sounds. I must be doing something. The hits just keep on coming. Too used to this to be afraid. Better off without them. I just keep on hurting. Emotions keep on bursting. And that's about the only thing I feel. Alone in my bedroom. No one there to come to. I just want it over now and forever. There's drugs in the bathroom. I don't have the heart to. I just wanna end it, get it over. Not talking until sundown. Never right to party. No one's ever sorry. Too narcissistic to even care. Looking down every hallway. Trying to find the next. So that's what it looks like for students to write their own song. And sometimes they use the melody of an existing song, and that's okay because when they perform it live, they have to either use an instrument or it has to be a cappella in harmony. So with eighth graders, you can go as crazy as you want. With sixth graders, you might want to be a little more subtle. With high schoolers, oh my goodness, it could be an amazing songwriting experience for them. Just try it out and see what happens and revamp it every year. That's what I do. Choral performance evaluations. This portion is where your students are given the ability to respond, perceive, analyze, and interpret meaning in musical works, identify and describe a musical score in terms of rhythm, melody, and form, listen to analyze the elements of musical performance, including form, voicing, and dynamic contrast, describe the emotions and thoughts that music conveys, discuss how the basic elements of music, including mood, tempo, contrast, and repetition in selected examples, are important to a performance. Apply criteria to evaluate musical works. Using self reflection and peer feedback, listen to and evaluate group music performances with attention to vocal technique, accuracy of pitch and rhythm, diction, and dynamics. And reflect on the nature of rehearsal and performance in music through discussion and writing and active listening in selected musical settings. So your students become judges. You give them music and you let them go for it. As far as the students singing individually, I provide my students with the GMEA All State Audition rubric. This is for the solo portion. So give them something to be able to appropriately score each other. So students are going to sing maybe a solo directly from the GMEA website. This is the scales and solo sheet that comes directly from Georgia Music Educators Association. So the students are able to score based on the major, minor, and chromatic scale and those components of the solo in the rubric that I just showed you. Another portion is the sight reading score sheet. This is still the all state parameters where students learn how to score each other and themselves. This is to prepare your sixth graders for auditioning for all state as seventh and eighth graders, or you might be preparing your seventh and eighth graders for that next level, which could be high school or just auditioning again for your choir or in choir as a middle schooler. And of course, I teach them whatever solo is on the GMEA website. Right now, we have simple gifts that's on the GMEA website. We have a folder in Dropbox where you can pull up the accompaniment tracks, the learning track where there's a soloist singing it exactly how we expect students to sing it, and the PDF documents of the music itself. There's usually 4 or 5 different keys for soprano, alto, high bass, low bass, high tenor, low tenor. Just go to the GMEA website and go for it. Look at those wonderful opportunities where your students are able to see what's expected of them, either the year that you're in or the next year. This is the rubric for large group performance evaluation. I let the students either evaluate their performance they've had this year at large group performance evaluation, or I pull up other groups that have maybe sang music they're familiar with, and I let them evaluate. You want to know what your students can say to you musically. Can they articulate what tone is and what it sounds like? Pitch, rhythm, ensemble, as far as the balance, the diction, interpretation, and other factors such as the student's stage presence and their appearances. Just make sure that your students learn how to follow along with the music that you sang and evaluate. You can find my choir as well as myself on Warrior Chorus Instagram. There's a Warrior Chorus Facebook, and we also have a Warrior Chorus YouTube channel. Check us out and Please feel free to comment on those videos and post that you can, and give us any feedback that you can. We want to thank you so much for attending this webinar. I hope you've learned something that's beneficial for yourself or maybe any of your colleagues. And I hope that you can take something back to your students so that we continue to grow and continue to have wonderful music literacy in our schools. Thanks again. Have a wonderful end of the year and continue to sing.